Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. When you hear the name Caesar, what comes to mind? A powerful ruler? An emperor? Maybe even a salad? Today we're diving deep into the life of the man who made that name legendary, Gaius Julius Caesar. His story isn't just about battles and politics. It's a tale of ambition, genius, and a legacy that literally changed the course of Western civilization. So grab your popcorn because this is the epic saga of how one man went from a young noble to the most powerful figure in Rome, Julius. Caesar was born in 100 BC into the Iuli family, an old patrician clan that claimed descent from the goddess Venus herself. While they had a prestigious name, they weren't particularly wealthy or influential at the time. But young Caesar had something more valuable than money: a sharp mind and a burning ambition. He received a top-tier education, mastering rhetoric and politics, skills that would become his deadliest weapons. From his earliest days, it was clear he wasn't destined for an ordinary life. He was aiming for the very top, and he wouldn't let anything or anyone stand in his way. His early career was a masterclass in political maneuvering and survival. Rome was a snake pit of rival factions and dangerous politics. Caesar had to navigate this treacherous landscape carefully. He was once even kidnapped by pirates and, in a classic Caesar move, he didn't just wait to be rescued, joked with his captors, demanded they raise his ransom because he felt he was worth more, and then promised to return and crucify them all. And guess what? After he was freed, he did exactly that. This story shows his audacity and iron will. He served in the military, held various political offices, and slowly but surely built a network of allies and a reputation as a man who got things done. The real game changer came in 60 BC. Caesar, ever the strategist, recognized he couldn't climb to the top alone, so he did something unprecedented. He formed a secret alliance with the two most powerful men in Rome, Gnaeus Pompeius Magnus, known as Pompey the Great, Rome's most celebrated general, and Marcus Licinius Crassus, its wealthiest man. This alliance, known to history as the First Triumvirate, was an unofficial but incredibly potent political partnership. Together, they could bypass the traditional Roman Senate and push through their own agendas. Crassus provided the funds, Pompey the military prestige, and Caesar the political cunning and popular support. It was a power trio that effectively controlled the Roman state, setting the stage for Caesar's meteoric rise. With the backing of his powerful allies, Caesar secured the position of consul and then, crucially, the governorship of Gaul. This wasn't just any province. It was a springboard for conquest. From 58 to 50 BC, Caesar waged a brilliant and ruthless series of campaigns known as the Gallic Wars. He wasn't just defending a border. He was systematically conquering all of Gaul, a vast territory that includes modern-day France, Belgium, and parts of Switzerland and Germany. His legions marched through thick forests, crossed mighty rivers, and even invaded Britain twice. He was a genius on the battlefield, known for his speed, surprise attacks, the unwavering loyalty he inspired in his soldiers. He shared their hardships, fought alongside them, and knew many of them by name. It was during this time he also wrote his famous commentary De Bello Gallico, or Commentaries on the Gallic War. Part war journal, part propaganda, it was a masterful piece of writing that cemented his heroic image back in Rome. But as Caesar's fame and power grew in Gaul, his triumvirate back in Rome was falling apart. Crassus was killed in battle, and his once-ly Pompey grew jealous and fearful of Caesar's success. Influenced by Caesar's enemies in the Senate, Pompey sided with them. They ordered Caesar to disband his army and return to Rome as a private citizen, where he would surely face prosecution and political ruin. Caesar was at a crossroads. To obey meant the end of his career. To disobey meant civil war. In January of 49 BC, Caesar made his fateful decision. He led his 13th legion to the banks of the Rubicon, a small river that marked the legal boundary between his province and Italy. To cross it with an army was an act of treason, uttering the now famous words, Alia, iacta, est, the die is cast. He marched his army across the river. There was no turning back. This single act plunged the Roman Republic into a devastating civil war. Pompey and the senators fled Rome, and Caesar pursued them across the Mediterranean. The conflict raged for years, but Caesar's military brilliance proved superior. He defeated Pompey's forces in Greece, Egypt, and Spain, finally emerging as the undisputed master of the Roman world. Returning to Rome as the victor, Caesar was showered with honors. By 44 BC, he was appointed dictator perpetuo, or dictator for life. He was no longer just a general or a politician. He was the absolute ruler. But he wasn't just interested in power for its own sake. He launched a series of sweeping reforms. He reorganized the government, extended Roman citizenship, reformed the calendar, creating the Julian calendar that we VA adapted into our modern one, and initiated massive public works projects. He wanted to stabilize and improve the Roman state after decades of civil strife. However, his immense power and king-like status terrified many of the old guard senators, who believed he was destroying the republic. This fear and resentment boiled over on the Ides of March 15th, 44 BC, as Caesar entered a meeting of the Senate. A group of conspirators, calling themselves the Liberators, surrounded him. Among them were men he had pardoned, men he considered friends, including Marcus Junius, Brutus. They drew their daggers and attacked. According to legend, when Caesar saw Brutus among his assassins, he uttered his final words, "E2, Brute, you too, Brutus," before falling at the base of a statue of his former rival Pompey. His assassination, meant to save the Republic, ironically did the exact opposite. The death of Caesar didn't restore the Republic. It plunged Rome into another round of bloody civil wars. From the chaos, one man would eventually rise to supreme power: Caesar's grandnephew and adopted son, Octavian, who would later be known as Augustus, the first Roman emperor. In this sense, Caesar's life and death directly paved the way for the end of the Roman Republic and the birth of the Roman Empire. His legacy is monumental. He was a military strategist whose tactics are still studied today, a brilliant writer whose works are literary classics, and a politician who reshaped the world. His name, Caesar, became a title synonymous with emperor, used by Roman, Byzantine, German, and Russian rulers for centuries to come. He was a true giant of history, and his shadow looms large over us even 2,000 years later. Thank you so much for joining me on this incredible journey through the life of Julius Caesar. What part of his story do you find most fascinating? Let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss our next deep dive into history. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.